8 o'clock, and this is WPRI, your classical music station in Princeton, New Jersey. Tonight's weather, intermittent thunderstorms, possibly followed by an ongoing storm. And now, back to our music presentation.
Niemals. Niemals. Eisen, Flop, Eisen. Ostend, Schoss and Schattenwood. Oh, my friends, you're here already. I was so involved in my work, I did not hear you come in. Hello. Yeah. How are you? Good evening. You know, we could have met over at the Institute tonight, but I thought we'd be so much more comfortable here in my home. And I am so glad that you could all join me here tonight and accept my invitation this evening. You see, I wanted to speak with you personally tonight to set the record straight. So many peculiar articles are written about me. Sometimes I think the American press expects me to have one occupation only, genius, and to practice it 24 hours a day. But you see, they insist on writing about my about my behavior. Yes, please, you will excuse me. It's Mozart. It's Mozart. They're playing Mozart, see, and I cannot resist but to play with the orchestra. Huh? Welche Freude der Musik bereiten kann. What joy music can bring. Such beauty and harmony. How could man live without it?
This classical music presentation has been brought to you by the makers of Scarf, the dog food that every dog, every age just loves to eat. That's Scarf in the bright purple can, spelled S-C, ARF.
I love music, but not on the radio. Well, these advertisements, even products for dogs and cats, as if they listen to the radio also. By this, by that. But there is one program on the radio that I always enjoy listening to. This man, Jack Benny. It always makes me laugh. So much mail, I cannot keep up with it all. Here I am, Relativity himself. That is what it's written on the letter. No name, no address, just written to Relativity himself, Princeton, New Jersey. And still they deliver it to me. Relativity himself. I wonder if they called Newton Gravity himself. Or Louis Pasteur, rabies himself. I'm always pleased when a man of science is honored, but it's a manner in which they do it is so peculiar. We scientists are a solitary breed, and we do our best work in isolation. In the temple of science, there are many mansions, and various are they who dwell within. I should write that down. I am often called upon to give lectures, and I have such a difficult time thinking of intelligent things to say. Yes, all over the world they ask me to speak, and all over the world they later regret it. And various within. Yeah. That is good. Yes, good. I will use this sometime. But this letter, however, was addressed quite correctly. Right, several days ago, It's been troubling me ever since. It's from a little girl, 9 years old. She writes to ask me, how can you be such a terrible monster? Is it true you're the father of the atomic bomb? And do you really hate America? And her father enclosed this statement, which was read into the congressional record at the United States Congress in Washington, D.C. by the Representative Rankin from the little girl's home state of Mississippi, a place I've never even seen, and published in the newspapers throughout the state. But Einstein, this foreign-born agitator, would have us plunge into another European war in order to further the spread of communism throughout the world. It is about time the American people got wise to him. I want to receive no more letters like this. So I am glad that you could all be here tonight so that perhaps I could personally help you get wise to me. Tonight, my friends, I hope you will see no terrible monster or foreign-born agitator, but only a man, a much too famous man. His reputation has grown so out of proportion. And if at times I do not live up to your expectations, please remember that they are your expectations, not mine. Relativity himself. I have to laugh. Laughter is a wonderful gift. It keeps us from taking ourselves too seriously. You see, if I could not joke, I think perhaps I should go a little crazy. See, my friends, you must understand that as a small boy in Munich, I never dreamed of such a life as this. I'm often asked, what signs of genius did you exhibit as a small child? The answer is none. In fact, I had great difficulty even learning how to talk. I began using words only around the age of 3, and it wasn't really until 9 or 10 that I could speak as well as children of my own age. But there was an incident that I remember from early childhood. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I was confined to bed due to some illness. Measles or chickenpox, I don't remember. My father brought a small pocket compass into the bedroom for me to play with. I still have it. I still have it here. I've kept it with me all these years. I'd never seen one before, and I was astonished to find that no matter which way I turned the compass, the needle always pointed in the same direction. I spent hours and hours experimenting with this wonderful new toy. I was amazed by it. Finally, I came to realize that there was something I couldn't see, which no one, in fact, could see, which caused the needle always to point in the same direction. Invisible things caused things to happen. I wanted to get well immediately, so I could learn more about these forces. They fascinated me. Then I got well. I took the compass to school with me. But none of my classmates shared my fascination with it. For the most part, I was a dreamy little boy lost in my own world. The teachers considered me to be a slow learner. There was even a time once when my father had to come to the school to speak to my headmaster about me. He led me to a corner of the classroom, had me stand there while he and the headmaster spoke together up by the blackboard. For the most part, they spoke quietly, but I did manage to overhear one part of the conversation. My father asked the headmaster, "What profession do you think little Albert should adopt?" And the headmaster answered, "Albert? Albert will niemals Hokrat sein. Albert will never make a success of anything." Oh, so many of the teachers were uninspired and unaccomplished. They cared only about discipline and order. Learn to obey the rules and to memorize, but don't learn to think for yourself. But that was not true of my Uncle Jacob, my father's younger brother, who was also a teacher. I never forget the first time he described algebra to me. "Albert! Albert, where are you? Oh, you are such a lucky little boy, Albert, because today we are going to learn about higher mathematics, algebra. Oh, algebra is such a merry little science. We go hunting for a mysterious butterfly, whose name we do not know. So we call it X. We stalk our game. Albert, get your net. We stalk our game. Oh, yeah. We stalk our game. Ah, there, Albert, there it is, by the bush. Get it. We pounce on it. And then we give it its rightful name. 365. Good, Albert, good. Now, that was the way to interest students in their studies. School. School just caused so many problems for me. Not because of issues that I had or difficulties with my studies, but because of difficulties with my teachers. Well, the teaching is an honorable profession, and I have known many fine teachers in my life. But I'm convinced that none were in Germany at the time I was in school. I had so many problems in the gymnasium, what you Americans call high school. At that time, I was beginning to believe that also the universe, although it presents us with extremely difficult riddles, it never presents us with unanswerable ones. God does not play dice with the universe. He is subtle, but not malicious. So I began to question everything. My curiosity was so strong, I even questioned some of my teacher's statements. They didn't like this. They said that all of my questions was interfering with the learning process, and I was called a disruptive influence in the classroom. But the whole world stood before me like a great eternal puzzle, and I wanted to spend the rest of my life trying to fit the pieces together. But the more questions I asked, the angrier my teachers became, until our differences became irreconcilable. So, partway through my high school studies, by mutual agreement, I left. How sad my papa looked when he saw me arriving home from boarding school, suitcase in hand. He had always wanted me to take up engineering, a sound, practical field, he said, where a man could carve out a nice, safe place for himself in society. But you see, my friends, I have never wanted any place in society. No, engineering was not for me. But how I hated to hurt my papa's feelings. No, my entire family was quite upset for a while, but they later accepted things and even arranged for me to continue my studies in the school in Switzerland, much more to my liking. And from there, I was accepted to one of the finest technical colleges in all Europe. College. Yes. If my high school teachers were upset with me and all my questions, this was nothing compared with what some of my college professors thought. My reception was rather mixed. Some of my professors liked me very much, but others found me arrogant. But you say I was young, concerned, inquisitive, dedicated, and arrogant. In fact, there was one professor, Herr Weber, who became so upset with me that when I graduated, he wrote a very bad recommendation. And because I had a troublemaker's reputation as a result of this, I received no immediate teaching offers. So I was out of school and out of work. And my skepticism for all kinds of authority was now complete. But that was good, because skepticism is the foundation of a sound scientific attitude. You see, I deal with a conception of reality, rather than with observable reality itself. Physics demands the highest standard of precision in the description of spatial relations, such as only the use of mathematical language can give. My work involves the imagination and is expressed through equations. And yet these abstract symbols must correspond to a pre-existing physical reality for them to have any validity. They are the foundation upon which our temple of science is built. Physical reality and the abstract. This is how I make my living. Not engineering. Once, my second wife, Elsa, tried to fix liver, one of my favorite foods, in a new way. I arrived home from the institute and I found it in a pot of boiling water on the stove. And I had to tell her, well, Elsa, you're always so good to me, and this is a nice surprise, but the boiling point of liver is very high, much higher than the water can reach. If you don't fix it in a different way, it will be ruined. Well, this was one of the only occasions where my scientific knowledge proved practical. I do my best work here. Not with instruments on a desk. My mind is my office. And I take it with me wherever I go. Dinner parties, lectures, concerts. I often part company with those around me, and I adjourn to my office.